it on my computer. Okay, welcome. How exciting. I'm so excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. And I know that we had about 20 people sign up, but it's 80 degrees outside. So guess where most people are today. But I did promise everyone that we would videotape it and audio tape it too. So that's really great. But what I would like to start by saying is welcome to How to Kick the Sugar Habit. And Brooke Batemann and I are partners. I'm so excited about partnering with Brooke with a whole lot of things, but this thing that we're going to talk about a little bit later is really exciting. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being a part of this, and we'll get started. So my slideshow, I'm a teacher, so I have to have slideshow. It's the only way that I know how to operate. But I'm sure right now when we talk about, we're going to teach you ways to cook, to kick the sugar habit, you're saying, right. Yeah, you're rolling your eyes because we've all tried everything. Nothing works. It's way too hard. And you think that you're going to have to give everything up and eat tree bark, or as one of my sisters says, pond scum. But that's not the case. We're really going to help you eat some healthy foods. And even though we may, as kids, didn't eat real healthy, it's harder for us to change. I know Brooke is a really good example. I've seen her kids eat greens and yogurt and all kinds of healthy foods. So her kids are learning from the beginning on, which we didn't do. But we're going to really try and help you learn some real healthy ways and how to kick some of those sugar habits. And trust me, I work on it every day. So our goal for this workshop, first of all, is to introduce you to a whole new way of eating healthy or good eating. We're going to teach you, hopefully, that it's not as hard as you think. It certainly isn't. I don't like to cook. Brooke's an amazing cook. I am not a good cook. Or I shouldn't say that. I just don't enjoy it as much, but it's not as hard as I thought it was. And it really doesn't cost an arm and a leg. I know that organic is more expensive, and but there are some real good ways of learning how to eat healthy without it costing a lot of money. And we really want to teach you that eating good food is really key to feeling great. And if you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you saw one of my last posts. It says, we are what we eat. And if we eat crap and we eat cheap and we eat crummy food, that's going to be how we feel. So hopefully we'll be able to cover that. So real quick about me, for those of you that don't know me, most of you do, but there are a couple of you that may not know me. I have a bachelor's in social work and a master's in business. And I was a social worker at Calumet County and also a college instructor at Moraine Park. And I taught in the business area. I've always been interested in herbs and healthy foods and spices, and grow some of my own things. My husband had a huge garden at one point at our son and daughter-in-law's house, but that got to be a little bit too much work. So now we just have little things in pots, but I've always been interested in that. So after I left teaching and social work, I did become a certified health and life coach and learned some natural ways. And now I'm studying, almost finished. I have to take my state boards pretty soon, but I'll be a certified functional nutritionist. And that's going to be real exciting because I'm learning how the body functions and how we can deal with things before we get really sick, and even how we can deal with things. As most of us know, our healthcare system is really broken, and we're really trying to fix that. And Brooke has some great things to talk about later about her studio and her business and all of the exciting people that are coming there. The last thing is I wanted to say, for those of you that know me, know this, I'm addicted to sugar. When we were little, we always had desserts at every meal, even breakfast. We would have sticky buns. We would have kuchen. We had all kinds of yummy foods. And then at lunch, it would be brownies and candy and all that stuff. And supper, it would be pies and torts. And my two sisters are lucky. They're not addicted to sugar. But in fact, one of them doesn't even like sugar. But I crave it, and I can't hardly stop when I eat it. So I did give up sugar for Lent and found out what my triggers were. I'm learning where sugar is hidden, and I'm learning how to handle those cravings. And so I'm doing okay. It's not easy, but after the 40 days, I feel like I don't need to be craving sugar anymore. So that's a quick little story about me. So we'll have Brooke jump in and talk a little bit about yourself. You like that picture?
I love that picture. Thank you, Connie. Thanks
Yes.
for passing the mic over. So I am Brooke Batemann, originally from New Holstein, got away for a little bit and then landed back here in New Holstein. And slowly 4 or 5 years ago started the wellness center here. So I have a bachelor's of science in marketing, and I soon after became a licensed esthetician when I figured out that corporate America was not a good fit for me. I'm also a Usui Reiki master. I just completed a full year of training in the shamanic healing medicine wheel group. And for fun, I'm also an ordained minister. So once or twice a year, I get to help bring joy and love into people's lives through their wedding ceremonies. So yeah, like Connie had talked or touched upon about how we have a broken healthcare system. I like to call it the sick care system. What we're currently experiencing is no proactive measures, just all reactive responses, quick fixes. And a lot of it boils down to, for me, a frustration that we're not working hard enough on finding the root cause of where this dis-ease in our, holistic body is coming from. Connie also touched upon how eating organic is expensive, and I would like to just kind of drop a little nugget in here right now on this beautiful 80-degree day, regardless of the fact that next week it's going to be like, 50 again, but organic can be very expensive, absolutely. However, we're coming up into gardening season. You can't get any more organic than growing stuff in your backyard. So this is a perfect time for Connie and I to be talking about this 28-day wealthy challenge, because part of what I'm going to be bringing in are some easy hacks on how to grow things at home that are ridiculously inexpensive and easy, just it's all right there, right on your back porch, or even in a windowsill if you have, smaller spaces. So I think one of the bigger things that I love about doing this with Connie every year, sometimes we do it twice a year, is just to help bring more information to more people about, the more we fall into the trap of the aisles of the grocery store, the sicker we're getting. So how can we bring ourselves back into alignment with health and the goals that we want for the long-term benefit of ourselves and our loved ones around us?
Thank you, Brooke. That's great. She has 3 cute little children too, and is very involved in the city. So she's kind of humble today, but she's pretty amazing, all of the things that she does. So we're going to talk today a little bit about you are in the right place. If you're wondering why you crave sugar at some times, we're going to talk mainly about sugar today, but we're going to talk later on a little bit about all the different things about eating healthy. And you're in the right place if you're done reinventing the wheel and you want someone to tell you what works and what doesn't for real. And we've been experimenting. As Brooke said, we've offered this 3 times for 3 years, and a couple of times a year sometimes, and we're learning ourselves what works for the people that sign up and work with us. So that's really exciting. You're in the right place if you want to discover what is keeping you stuck so you can get unstuck. And you're also in the right place if you're ready to finally get the sugar or food thing handled so you can allow your best self to shine. So that's really what we're really going to talk about. And there's 3 main challenges that people run into when it comes to sugar and or addicted to food in general. And one of them is that it feels out of control. And we wonder, why the heck do we crave sugar? And sometimes, like one of my clients said, she didn't even realize she was craving sugar. She was just always eating, and it happened to have a lot of carbs in it. She always had it real handy. And again, not only our healthcare being sick, but our food industry, it's so easy to grab a cookie instead of making yourself a salad. And so it's become super easy and super dangerous for our bodies. But it's really hard to figure out, why the heck do we crave those sugar cravings? And one of them is called the polarity of things. And I'm learning so much about this in my nutrition class. It's like hot and cold. When our body gets really hot, like today, it was 80 degrees when I walked this morning, I sweat. And that's an important thing because it's our body trying to cool down, or we crave water. We crave something when we start to get dehydrated. Um, when our body gets cold, our hands and feet tend to get cold first because all of the blood is going to the heart to keep it warm, because our body wants to be in balance. Balance is healthy. If nothing else, I would keep repeating that. Balance is healthy. And dark and light, that's really the elements, and it's like the yin and yang, and it's inside of us. And it's, to me, I identify it as being self-assured or humble, and it has a lot to do with Reiki too, and being in balance. And I noticed that once we came home from Florida, it happens every year. I'm not sure why. Part of me is depressed if it's the weather's crappy, but I can't use that for an excuse this year. But I get out of balance, and so I have to go see Brooke. I have a schedule to next week for Reiki. But I don't know, Brooke, can you talk any more about that balance, that yin and yang of light and dark, what that means? I don't want to put you on the spot, but
Oh, no, that's totally fine. So within all of us, we've got our physical body. I'll just do like the super brief version. We have our physical body. What we have inside of our physical body are what most people would call invisible wheels of energy, or chakras. You have 7 main chakras. They control different aspects of mental, emotional wellness, and if left unstable, then it can form into some type of physical disturbance, irritability, all the way up to things like arthritis, cancer, mental illness, and whatnot. Outside of there, you also have then those 7 chakras connect to 7 different body bubbles of your aura. What can happen inside our body is you can have these subtle shifts. So you have equal parts of everything. We have equal parts of ego and soul or spirit. We have equal parts feminine, masculine energy, yin, yang, dark, light. Right now you guys are seeing my light side. I'm not showing you my shadow aspect. I'm not showing you all of the things I get triggered by. Right now you're seeing more of my masculine energy because Connie and I are doing a presentation. So I'm not showing you my soft, vulnerable side as much as my presentation. Here's the presenter side of me. So we all have these different aspects, every single one of us. Even though I'm a woman, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm 100% feminine all of the time. There are balances. There's equality all around us. You have the sun, you have the moon, right? Day, night. And there's so much of this polarity and duality all around us at all times. And we just grow so accustomed to it, and we don't really ever touch on it or talk about it, that sometimes it's like, oh yeah, hot, cold, that makes sense. So that's an easy way to talk about that. And when we get too far, into our masculine, or too far into our dark or our light, what can happen is we start to feel just a little bit wonky. So, when Connie's coming in for her Reiki session with me, essentially what we're doing is we're just helping to bring that back into balance. We're helping to say, okay, well, something's a little off over here on this side. Let's talk through that a little bit more, and let's help figure out how to get that back in balance. In Connie's case, more than likely, it's because she moved geographical territory in a short amount of time, and that can throw people off. Similarly to when I used to do presentations in New York, and then I would fly back home and I would be physically ill for like 2 days, just kind of decompressing from that big city energy.
yes, good. Thank you. Thank you. And it's funny because it's so subtle. Most people don't even know that it's it's out of balance, and it's just like eating unhealthy foods. After a while, we don't even know that we're not feeling our best till we start to eat healthy again. It's like, oh my gosh, I have more energy. I'm sleeping better. I a whole lot of things. My mood is better. I'm not so touchy, but it gets to be our norm, and after a while we don't even realize it. But as Brooke said, the highs and the lows are another thing. I have very high energy. I'm very lucky. I have lots of energy. But then I used to run 5K marathons. I used to run, walk really fast. I used to do very high energy thing. And now I've had to learn that what helps me stay in balance is I meditate. I do yoga. I do things that help calm me down. I slow down when I eat. I take some deep breaths. I do strong women, which is again an stretching energy thing. I don't run the marathons for a whole lot of reasons, but I still walk a lot, but I have to find some balance for me. So I think it's important that we always find that balance, and night and day too. We need time to sleep, to have it dark, but we also need the sunshine for vitamin C. And in my nutrition class, I'm learning that if we eat sugary foods during the day in the sunlight, the UV rays slows down the absorption of the sugar. That doesn't give us permission to be eating 10 candy bars out in the sun, but it does explain why all of the fruits like papaya and oranges and grapes and grapefruits and all of that is grown in the South, where the UV rays are a whole lot brighter and stronger, and it makes everything much sweeter. And there's a polarity of food too. So it's important that we think about that. Some of the high lifting foods, and these are more like drugs, but they caffeine and sugar and dairy, but the natural ones, and Brooke knows more about this now as she's starting all this gardening stuff in the city. That's another great thing we're going to have. But anything that grows above the ground, like leafy greens, kale, whatever, to me, everything is more of lifting energy, and again, it gives us more of a high. And then there are foods that ground us, like salt and eggs and red meat, and again, potatoes and squash and things that grow underground are more grounding for us. But when we do activities that are high, and we just substitute more and more caffeine when we feel that low, or sugar or whatever, then we can feel spacey, we can feel agitated, we can just feel like Brooke said, a little wonky, and we need to balance that with some natural things like meditation or deep breathing, or even taking a little nap, something to calm us down. And in the wintertime, I know that we crave comfort foods, and so we want a whole lot more of the comfort foods like potatoes and squash and bread and all those carbs. But a lot having too much of that makes us feel tired and depressed and grumpy, and those are all signs that tell us that our chakras and our body is out of balance. So we really need to work on getting that back in balance. So it's about food, but it's also about other things like sleep and exercise and what we do to help stay in balance. It's all kind of together. Anything you want to add to that, Brooke?
I have so much, but for time,
I knew you would.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, write it down, because at the end, if we don't cover it, then bring it up, please, because you have such a head full of knowledge. The second challenge when we're trying to kick sugar is that no one wants to do it because it feels so good to eat it. And it's again, it's so addicting. It's many people claim it's as addicting as opioids, certainly as smoking, and more so, and it's hidden in so many things. And so we wonder, why is it so addicting? So then again, this is the clip notes too of all the stuff I'm learning. But so, and most of you know this, we eat some sugary food that contains very little or no fat or protein, which that slows down the absorption, by the way. But then what happens is our sugar goes way up, and our body pretty much, our brain is alerted, because the sugar is absorbed in our brain and in our blood cells and in our muscles, but it can only absorb about 50%, because we're not supposed to eat more than 3 spoonsful of sugar a day, and the average person is eating 12 to 14 spoonsful a day. There's 3 spoonsful of sugar in a can of Coke alone, and so you've already met your quota in that one can. And so our body, the brain is alerted, and it says, it flips out, it says emergency, emergency, and then it alerts the pancreas, and that secretes insulin, and it brings the blood sugar way down. Now, for most of us, myself included, I really noticed this, because I've been eating so much sugar my whole life. my body's excreting way too much insulin. It always does, just in case. So it excretes too much. And I actually have something called insulin resistance. It's getting much better. But again, I've learned through my nutrition classes and my nutritionist and stuff that after a while, the insulin doesn't even work like it's supposed to. So it just keeps excreting more and more. It's like taking some of the medicines, they don't work as long. Sleeping pills, for example, you need more and more and more because you build up a tolerance. And that's what happens. But then, so when the blood crashes, you feel shaky, crabby, you need a nap, maybe you're foggy brained, you're gaining weight. Then you crave more sugar. And so it's a crazy thing. And if I have a gal that I do webinars with, and she always says this, it's so funny. She'll say, now if you're reading your email, or if you're not total listening, come back to me, because this is really important. One of the most dangerous things that's happening to our body is that sugar imbalance, that going up and down. It's aging us prematurely. It's causing cancer. It's causing diabetes. It's causing all kinds of weight gain issues. And so it's really important that we learn how to balance our blood sugar. And we're going to talk a lot more about that in the 28-day challenge that Brooke and I are running, but also throughout this. One big or a couple of ways to stop the sugar imbalance, if you just want to start a couple of things, is to only eat 3 meals a day. Now, I know that goes against everything we used to learn. I used to learn eat 6, 7 times. But every time you eat something, especially if it's not protein or fat or leafy greens, it's going to spike our sugar, and it's going to just do that roller coaster. And the other thing that we can do is eat more protein and fat, because that does slow down the absorption. Every meal that we eat, our 3 meals a day, should contain some protein, some healthy fats, and some carbs. And if we can have like a nice green leafy salad with chicken, and maybe, in mayo or some olive oil, however you mix it, you're getting the 3. But it's really important. And if you're going to have some sugar, like a birthday cake or something, make sure that you eat some protein and fats first, because that will help slow down that absorption. And then the pancreas isn't going to kick that insulin out so fast. Okay, I want to make sure I covered everything there. So if you give up sugar for 7 days too, that's another way. And I know that's really hard. That it about, I don't want to say killed me, but it sure was hard, especially during Lent. And then we were in Florida, and they have all these potlucks. And so there was St. Patty's Day, and then all kinds of extra things that was really hard for me to say no to. But the third challenge about eating good is that every time we think we're going to start, something pops up. There's an opportunity to eat out, a wedding, a vacation, a friend. My husband will say, let's go out for breakfast. And we have a couple of cute little places in our area. And then that kind of spoils it. And so I've really been paying attention to that. And I have I had a client in Colorado. She wanted to lose 20 pounds before her daughter's wedding. And that was 8 weeks. In 8 weeks. And she actually bought a dress that was a size smaller, 2 sizes smaller, and she was bound determined to fit into that dress. And she did, because she learned her triggers, what set her off. She learned where all these sugars are hidden. And then she also learned how to deal with some of these things. And so we're going to talk about that. When we eat out, it's a tough one, but what's worked for me and what really worked for her was that if you have a little snack before you go out, to not be quite so hungry. I like maybe a cheese stick. I can do cheese. Cheese is good for me. And if I drink lots of water before I go out to dinner, and put lemon or chia seeds in there, that will help you feel a little bit fuller, to slow down when you eat. The other thing that happens when we are under stress, our cortisol levels go up. That's a hormone in our body, and it doesn't allow for digestion. And I said earlier, our body usually uses about 50% of the sugar that we eat for energy. And guess where the other 50% goes? For me, it goes on my hips. For men, it tends to go on their tummies. And as we age, and if we go through perimenopause or menopause, we tend to get those rolls. That's where the excess fat will sit. So I know many people that eat pretty healthy and they still can't lose weight, and it's probably because of their stress level. So we have to learn to slow down, and we can do that by balancing. We can say, yeah, our jobs are really stressful, but then we just have to learn to balance it out with some activities that are calming: deep breathing, meditation, yoga, Reiki, massage, facials, all of that stuff. I just had a massage at Brooks with Beth, and I fell asleep on the table. That's how relaxing it can be. So, or she did a reflexology. Her massages aren't relaxing; they're really deep and and really get where they need to be. And the other suggestion is we say don't start your meal with bread, and that's a hard one. You can ask the waiter or waitress. In fact, many of them do say, would you like bread with your meal? I always say no. My husband always says yes. And so then what I'll ask is at least not have it sit by me really closely, because if it's warm and the butter's there, it's really hard. But that is empty carbs. If it's whole wheat, it's a little better, but it's mainly empty carbs. So I always try to start with a salad, and if you can put vinaigrette dressing and some olive oil, that will help again slow down the digestion. And then eat lots of protein. Order your food grilled or just fried, not breaded or battered. And again, we're so used to beer battered fish and fries, and I do eat that stuff. I don't pretend that I don't, but then I try the next day to eat a little bit healthier, or I'll take the breading off. Do you have any other things you want to add to that, Brooke?
I just want to touch back on your comment about cortisol.
Yeah.
There is a graphic image that not a graphic image, there's a graphic or an image that you'll get to see if you decide that you want to sign up and join the 28-day challenge with Connie and I. But it basically it's like a triangle, right? And it talks about all of the different hormones. Every hormone has, a different level. When we're looking at the very bottom, this is the foundation is all insulin. So if we don't get our blood sugar under control or at a managed state, all of the rest of the hormones going up from there are going to be completely out of whack. So when we're talking about how, maybe you feel like you don't necessarily have so much of a sugar addiction, it could be from some of those hidden sugars that are throwing your blood sugar off balance or out of whack, and it then impacts your thyroid and all of the rest of these hormones that make up our whole ecosystem inside of our body. And that's what is keeping, some of this added belly weight on, and we can't figure out how we can't get this belly weight off. And it comes down to hormones, specific hormones, but those hormones are based off of what this basic panel of insulin is telling them to do in your body. So this is truly, sometimes you're like, yeah, sugar, get rid of the sugar. Oh, I've seen this before. But really, this is incredibly crucial to how your entire body is going to function on a day-to-day basis. Understanding, like Connie said, Connie and I are also human, and we cheat and we indulge and we enjoy, because it's also part of being a human. But it's truly important to at least give this a try, I feel, for yourself just once, to see how absolutely doable this is.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, we're going to talk about it in a minute, but for 28 days, it seems like that's a long time. But in the beginning, we just have you get ready. And then it's 2 weeks of crowding in really good foods and crowding out some of the things that aren't good for us. And it's amazing in those 2 weeks how much better we can feel. I like to do it a couple times a year. Yep. And so you're asking us, how is this going to work for me? So what we do with the 28-day challenge is we're going to help you identify what your triggers are. For me, I there's certain things that I get stressed about, or I crave foods after every meal. And so it's about 5 minutes. I've identified it. That's a trigger for me. So I either go for a walk. I have a cup of tea with pure stevia in it, which is a little sweetener that I'll allow myself, or a small piece of dark chocolate if it's really bad. But after about 5 to 10 minutes, it's gone. We're going to help you identify where those sugars are hidden. There's about 30 or 40 different words for sugar, and they're all in the middle of that grocery aisle. Like Brooke said, I did grocery shopping this morning, and I just spent a little time looking. It takes longer to shop, but once you identify those words for sugar, and even get away from the diet sugars, because diet sugars either have saccharin or aspartame, and aspartame is truly cancer causing, and so is sugar. Actually, if any of you have had cancer, or if you have cancer in your family, sugar feeds cancer. And so that's one of those diseases we certainly want to stay away from. But sugar is just bad for that one too. And then we're going to teach you how to curb your cravings, and we'll help you identify what yours are, and go from there. I did develop an ebook, and I know many of you have this already. It's called The 7 Sugar Hacks, and so I'll just quickly go through those. One is to check your beverages to see what's in there. It's just amazing how much sugar is in all of the drinks. And again, Gatorade and all of that stuff is so marketed to our kids. And we're learning in our class again that diabetes in children is one of the fastest growing diseases. 1 out of 4 children by the age of 10 are going to develop diabetes. And it's because, yeah, Brooke.
And they're also now,
yeah.
Sorry, I'm like,
no, this is a team thing. I get on a roll. Interrupt me.
Well, and they're also now calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes.
Oh, yes. You're right. You're right. Yep. And again, all of these diseases are genetic too. So we're learning that there's 3 different roots and many branches and stuff. And we do have to look at genetics and our DNA and all of that stuff. You're more prone to it, but there are some things we can do to help prevent that. And yes, Alzheimer's is another. It's a really fast growing illness in seniors and young ages 55 and up. So that to me isn't even old. It's like, I always thought Alzheimer's was for very old people, but no. And we do want to help. We're going to help you crowd in your veggies, your fruits, and your spices. We're going to give you lots of good recipes. And we're going to teach you where sugar, it can be sweet. I grow my own stevia now, by the way. I'm out of it, but I grow that. It's just a big plant and I dry it and crunch it up. It's amazing how sweet it is in your tea, and that's a natural herb. Getting enough sleep is really important. If you have a sugar imbalance, it could be a sleep issue. And as part of my nutrition assessment, I have you complete a sleep assessment to see. We talked earlier about the balance. We want to set our circadian rhythms, and I am off because of my time change with Florida and all of that. But we really have to take a look at that. We should have a set time to go to bed and a set time to wake up, and set those circadian rhythms. A natural sleep is between 7 and 8 hours, if we can get that much. If you have trouble falling asleep, it's probably due to stress. And so we need to teach you how to relax before you go to bed. Turn off the TV, turn off all the electronics, not have light in your bedroom, not have electronics in your bedroom if possible, because they emit some energy too. If you wake up during the night, it might be an imbalance of your blood sugar. Your blood sugar probably crashed, and then in the middle of the night, it's really needing some, or the pancreas kicked in, and then it's too high. And so your body's craving some of that. So in our nutrition class, we recommend you take a meat pill. Sounds kind of weird, but some kind of protein. Maybe eat a small amount of turkey, because we know it has that, I can't remember what it is, a tryptophan something that calms us down. So eat a little turkey before you go to bed. Almond butter's another good thing. but eat something that will stabilize that blood sugar again. Figure out a way to stabilize your blood sugar. That's just key. And then checking that you get enough protein, avoid low fat and fat-free foods. And again, this is a something that we learned. We always thought it was good to not have a lot of fat, but if you have good meat that is non-GMO, if you have avocado oil, olive oil, the healthy one, sesame seed, those are good for you, because if the food is low fat and fat-free, guess what makes it taste good? Sugar. It either has sugar or fat, one of the two, unless it's grown in the ground and then it just has vitamins and nutrients. The other thing is to move, even if it's only 10 minutes, to just get out, get that sunshine in your eyes. We really need that vitamin C. And then create some rituals. Like I said, I walk after every meal. And it's this book in much more detail is on my website. So you just go to my website, wellnessforlifecoaching.com. So are you ready to start a journey about healthy eating? Brooke and I are going to talk about this really exciting thing that we're going to be offering. We always used to offer it in January, right? I think it was always.
Yeah. We kind of like paired it with the New Year's resolution theme. And I think the first year it went really well. We started realizing that, especially like around COVID, it just was overwhelming. People just got done with the holiday season, and the last thing that they wanted to do was put more stuff on their plate. So Connie and I started playing around with different times of year and found that this time of year is crucial, because we can truly incorporate all of the things that we want to incorporate during this time of year. We can get out, we can move, we can garden, we can just all of it. Right. And we've got a little bit more willpower along the way. So
right. And seasonal affective disorder sets in during the winter too. And so we're really fighting that time where our bodies just want to become a bear and eat comfort foods and sleep and nap. And it's hard to get outside. I know I've talked to my sisters during the winter, and I have one sister, I think she's on here today. She's an avid walker and she has a Springer Spaniel to help her, but it was too icy. You know, you break your neck. I saw a friend in town the other day. She had her arm in a cast, and I said, what happened? She said, I fell on the ice. She said, I went to the emergency room at 10 a.m. and I was number 5 with my broken wrist. I was the 5th person. So it was that time of the year. So we thought June is still a little early for the swimming suits. And so maybe this will be a little bit more motivation, but if you really want to learn more about how sugar and other foods affect your body, this will be for you. And if you need some individualized help in attaining those goals, then this is definitely for you. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. It's going to start June 1st and end on the 29th. So it'll be a 28-day challenge. We are going to meet face-to-face at Brooke's Refinery Wellness Center in New Holstein. But if you are farther away, I have a couple of friends that do want to start it, and they're only online. So we're going to, there is an online component too. So we'll talk about that. It'll be a little bit, but all of the resources, the videos, the recipes, the handouts, everything will be inside of this course. And I was going to give you a show of it, but I'm not quite far along enough. I keep coming up with new stuff that I want to put in there. So, but we're going to have yummy foods. We're going to have a swag bag that'll give you a journal and some other things that'll be really helpful. And then there's going to be an ability to discuss what issues you have. It'll be an individual time. We'll have an individual coaching class with me. You're going to have a support group. What else would you like to add to this, Brooke?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, one of the most fun parts for me about the face-to-face is that every week we get to sit around essentially and snack on delicious snacks together, which I think is awesome, because a lot of times when we start looking at like, oh, I'm going to have a kale and endive salad, that sounds like cardboard. But then you actually get a chance to eat it and try it, and you're like, oh my God, this is doable and this is delicious. Like, that part is fun for me, to be able to bring that aspect and be like, okay, we can do clean and still be happy. Yeah. So I like that aspect. I like all of the just the insane amount of information that we bring. At the same time, I like the fact that we can all sit down and be human beings together and say, hey, you know what? A lot of my sugar comes from the cocktails that I have on Saturday night, and I'm kind of struggling with that aspect. And to be able to be real and to be vulnerable and have this support group of people all around us, and to have Connie's, AODA background coming in to help teach us. When I first started coaching with Connie years ago, some of the things that she helped me with, I'm still practicing. I still have a certain timeout from my phone, and I don't do my bedtime snacks. I replaced it with tea. And, so there's things that we can learn that all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I learned that how many years ago, and I'm still doing it, and it's helping me. So that's just some of the things that I like about what we bring.
Yeah, it's really fun. I'm really looking forward to it. So the first week we declutter. And what we mean is go into your pantry and look at what cookies you have there, and other sweets. And there's probably going to be, well, maybe not, but Easter candy still up there. I used to always have to take ours to work. And when I no longer worked at school, it was like, where are we going to go with that Easter candy? Or even some Halloween candy. But so we're going to get rid of that. And if you feel like it was too expensive to be throwing away, I get that. So we're just going to ask you to put it in a bag, put it up high, get it out of the way. But then we're going to give you a couple of menus, suggested menus. You can pick from there what you want to eat that week, those 2 weeks, and then we'll help you get ready. So you'll have 1 week to go shopping, to get rid of, or at least put out of the cupboard some of that stuff, and then do your shopping. And then the 2 weeks are going to be eating healthy foods. We're going to crowd in that healthy stuff. And as Brooke said, she brings amazing treats. I have a couple of sweets that I'll bring that are made with cacao and some other things that don't spike the blood sugar, but still help with that. And then the 4th week, we're going to add foods back in that you might enjoy. So the 4 things that we ask that you don't eat those 2 weeks are sugar, dairy, caffeine, and I'm just blanking right now of which the other one is, but it's gluten. And so we're going to introduce quinoa. The first time we did this, Brooke brought in some food with quinoa, and I have to admit it was the first time I ever had quinoa. Something our moms never did, and it's something I never had. So, and it's delicious. It was a stuffed squash quinoa. And so that was really yummy, because the other thing we do that's coming in fall is we're going to go away on a retreat. So we're going to do another webinar on that one down the road, but that one's a really exciting thing too. We're just going to talk about this, but then you get to add foods back in that you enjoy. And if they don't cause you issues, we ask you to give up dairy for this week too. But dairy does not cause me any problems. And so I can eat dairy, and it doesn't cause me problems. Some people are lactose intolerant, or it does cause some tummy issues. And if that's the thing, because we really want to keep that gut healthy. And so I'm going to go to go to your website, Brooke, and then you can point out where, let's see, I have to bring it up. There it is. Okay, it's a new share. So this is Brooke's. Can everyone see the refinery? Yep. Okay. And so you want to just talk through what you all have on here, and I can just click any of the things that you want.
Sure. So Connie actually is already on the workshops page of the website. When you get to the website, essentially you're going to hit the start your journey button. It's going to bring you to the homepage where it talks about, here we go. Yep. Okay. So this is just kind of the, what does it mean? Why did I choose the name Refine? I just had this conversation yesterday with somebody where she said, I feel like you should change the name of your business because it sounds like a brewery. And I said, well, if you look up the definition of refine, it means to make subtle changes, to constantly, refine yourself. And this doesn't mean in an attempt to perfect. But when we look at our body as a whole, from inside to out physically, and then both energetically at the same time, to be a constant ball of how can I be just a little bit better than the person that I was yesterday, not compared to the person next to me, but just competing with myself, essentially. So that's how I came up with the name, The Refinery. If we click on Start Your Journey, it's going to bring us to the retail shop, all of the different things that we offer here at the retail shop. Offerings, if Connie hovers on the word offerings, it'll show all of the different services and or providers. Some of our general service topics, we've got more than one provider. So you can click on any of those and it'll bring you to, to all of the different providers and the services that they offer. So like for facials, face and body, you've got myself and then you've got Kaya. I do daytime face and body services as well as my energy work, and then Kaya does nights. And then if you head over to the workshops tab, this is all of the different things that we have going on events wise. And I try as hard as I can to keep up with it. I believe that everything is up to date right now. Cool thing about owning your own business is you are your own, accounting department, marketing department, PR, HR, the whole 9 yards. So I'm also the IT and the web development department, and I try to stay up on this as much as I can. So when you get to this particular page, each image is a different heading for the different events that we have. I give a short description underneath everything, but if you scroll on down to where it says 28-day wealthy challenge, that again gives the dates, the description of the event. And then if you just scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, right there, if you just fill out that information and hit submit, then I'll get an email and we'll get you registered. So that's how it's all done. If you want to register for more than one event, you can type it all in, that one section. It could be like, my name is Connie Krupp and I want to register for yoga in the garden. I want to register for the 28-day wealthy challenge, sign me up for the solstice sound bath, and submit. And that's it.
Great. Thank you. Okay, let's open this up to any questions. Does anyone put them in the chat, please, and I'll take a look at that. So you have a minute to ask any questions of us about any of the sugar stuff we talked about, or any of the challenge. We're really excited about that. Wealthy is a new term too. I like that. WELLTHY. It's a new term. I had someone email me that she couldn't be here today, but she said, where does alcohol fit into the polarity of food? And so I have I asked my nutritionist about that. I'm glad I had that question ahead of time. And so I'll give you what she told me, and then I'd like to hear Brooke's idea, because we think that, let's say we had a really stressful day, we're driving home, we're stuck in traffic, and our 2-year-old's having a fit in the back seat, and we're just screaming, she's just screaming, and we get home, and what's the first thing we want to reach for is a glass of wine and a piece of chocolate, probably. And because we think wine calms us down, but because it has so much sugar in it, it does calm us down for a little while, because alcohol calms us down. But because now a lot of them are less sugar now these days, but they still have sugar in them, but they calm us down for a little while, but they really make us nervous and angry, or more upbeat than not upbeat, but raise the blood sugar and all of the other things. So it's really, it could be on both sides. What do you think about alcohol, Brooke?
Yeah, so we feel like an instant sense of relief once that alcohol hits our system, because what it's doing is that sugar is sending signals to our brain, activating a type of dopamine response in our brain saying, I'm happy, everything's better, like glug, 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 let's just keep on pouring. But essentially what it's doing is it is a downer. It is not just, you're going to crash hard from it, but it's also from an energetic perspective, when you look at the 7 bubbles of our body, I call it a body bubble, but those are the 7 bubbles of our aura. What alcohol tends to do eventually is it erodes sections of our aura. It's like popping holes in a balloon, like small little pinpricks, right? So it's not going to just like pop, but you have all these little holes in your aura. And what happens then over time from an energetic perspective is it makes us essentially get rid of that willpower and constantly be bringing in more negative substances. So like, okay, well, I had, that glass of wine that made me feel good, so I'm going to have 2 once I have those 2 glasses of wine, well, screw it, I'm gonna have a pizza. I'm not quite done with the pizza, so now I'm gonna have, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna have half a bag of chips while I'm mindlessly watching, a show on Netflix. So what that does is it just continues to bring more and more negative energy into our field, and it makes it so much harder to level up. Then the next day, because you didn't get that great of sleep, you're tired, you're groggy. Your 2-year-old starts off right away in the morning angry that you made oatmeal instead of pancakes, and the whole thing starts all
Right.
over again. I,
Right.
I'm living this right now with the
Yes.
little ones.
Yes, you are. Yes, you
Yeah.
are.
So
And
so it's really a mind over matter thing. You really have to be strong. You have to be on your game, and it's hard, and that's okay, because again, we're in this human experience. But the amount of sugar that is in just one alcohol drink is like astronomical. So alcohol is a big one to stay away from when doing, it's not allowed, quote unquote, during this challenge, but it's also something that really truly should be enjoyed in moderation, or give it a whirl and just try not to continue it.
yeah, and it's really hard because I get headaches when I drink. So I have decided to stop drinking for a while. And it's really hard to find some good alternatives, especially when you go out, because I don't
Mhm.
want to drink sugar. I mean, soda. And so I'll do tonic water with lemon or just water with lemon, but there really aren't a lot of alternatives in Wisconsin. Now I went to Colorado for a week doing some work, and they actually have bars that are non-alcoholic. I'm trying to think of what they call them now, but
Like a dry bar.
it might be a dry bar, something like that. But every other bar and restaurant has a separate cocktail list that does not have alcohol in it.
Mhm.
So, and a lot of them are low sugar too, but so that's another thing. I'm going to stop the recording.